This time they went too far. Too much. What was initially tennis, the Australian Open's tension, simply blossomed into the largest disciplinary controversy of the year. Additionally, the tennis the globe is in complete shock. Alycia Parks, an American celebrity, has been struck with a permanent suspension and a large fine for allegedly violating a phrase so cruel and intimate that even it's what seasoned tennis players are calling it. Inexcusable. We are discussing terms that weaponize tragedy in the family, which turned a mother's sickness into ammunition, that demonstrated the ugliness of professional sports. May obtain when rivals lose track of where cruelty starts when competition ceases. However, this is the point at which the narrative gets even more dramatic. Parks is confronted with the repercussions of her behavior, whereas the tennis establishment is rushing to manage the aftermath. Alex is back. Home to the Philippines for a reason remarkable. The first tournament approved by the WTA on Filipino territory, the WTA 125 Philippine Women's Open, and the whole country has went crazy with anticipation. We're discussing historic sold-out audiences, debuts, up-and-coming celebrities leaving their imprint, and Alex Eala stood at the very top. In the heart of everything, bearing the burden of a nation's aspirations while still thinking about what transpired in Melbourne. This tale is one of honor and disrespect, about the repercussions and redeeming a single athlete's deepest moment turning into the inspiration for another. This relates to a line that never should be crossed in athletics and what transpires in any case, when someone crosses it. Fasten your seatbelts because this will be powerful, sentimental, and unquestionably remarkable. First, let's discuss the bombshell that landed and shocked ripples throughout all levels of professional tennis. The news arrived via formal procedures in a matter of hours ago, as well as how harsh the penalty was indicated very once that something spectacular had occurred. The American athlete known as Alycia Parks for her strong serve and sometimes fierce temperament on the court, has been given a $2,000 fine in addition to, much more importantly, an indefinite suspension by authority in tennis. Go back and read it. Suspended indefinitely. Not a reprimand, not cooling down for a few weeks. Her career is in limbo since it is indefinite. Until further notice. Her ranking frozen, her timetable destroyed, her reputation completely destroyed. Now, tennis players are aware that penalties are fairly typical in professional tennis. Smash a racket out of annoyance and several hundred is what you're looking at. Make sure you curse loudly enough for the microphones to catch it and you'll pay for it. Repeatedly take too long between points and you will be docked by the umpire. These are typical disciplinary actions that occur several times during the course of a season. However, an indefinite suspension, that is really uncommon. That's the kind of penalty saved for the most grave transgressions, such as endangered the sport's integrity itself or transcend moral limits, thus so serious that taking urgent action becomes essential. What in the world happened to justify this degree of reaction? The event has its roots in that tense first-round match at just a few days ago, the Australian Open. Everyone who saw it recalls it. Against Parks. In the end, the scoreline proceeded in Parks' manner, but anybody paying attention could sense that something was incorrect. The mood wasn't just competitive. In a sense, it was antagonistic. It didn't feel like the typical on-court intensity. There was enough strain to suffocate, the energy gloomy and uneasy. We could all see the icy body language. Staircases, the manner in which both players seemed to taking part in pointless conflicts with volleys and backhands. According to exclusive sources near the sources who discussed anonymity condition, due to the delicate nature of what happened, the conflict was not limited to tennis. Shots. In the intense battle during transitions and between ideas, comments said to have been thrown by Parks that went much beyond what is appropriate for trash talk. Moreover, these weren't general insults about tennis prowess or a spirit of competition. These were quite personal assaults, aiming for a holy object, the family of Alex Eala. In particular, based on several sources who have verified the information, the taunts were aimed at Alex's mom. For those who pay careful attention to Alex's trip, and if you've been observing it, you are all aware of this. Her mom is everything to her. She is the Eala family's rock, the motivating driving influence for Alex's profession, the individual who made the same sacrifices as her father to make this unattainable dream come true. However, this is the tragic background that makes this purported encounter so unacceptable. Mrs. Eala is now dealing with a severe sickness. This information is not available to the public. Something she's publicly expressed seeking pity or focus. This family is private. Battle that has prevented her from traveling, prevented her from being in the box throughout Alex's games, maintained her from offering the assistance and consolation that any mother would really want to give her daughter even the most trying times in her profession. For a rival to purportedly weaponize that suffering, to make advantage of a mother's illness-related absenteeism as a sledging strategy, to transform personal pain into, to be honest, public humiliation is beyond understanding. According to sources, the remarks created a deep and instant emotional trouble, not just for Alex, who had to stand there and consider this brutality, while meanwhile attempting to maintain her emphasis on competition, but to her whole family. Consider yourself a mother observing from a recuperation room or hospital bed, inability to physically be present to defend hearing that your own kid's medical difficulties were being used as an offense on a global scale. The destruction is unfathomable. The outcry was immediate and unquestionably fierce. The event did not remain under control. Within the tennis bubble, it detonated across conventional sports media and set social media sites ablaze. Twitter broke out with slogans such as "Justice for Respect" and "Yell Tennis" that started trending a few hours after the game, bringing it to a close. Filipino supporters are already fervent. Those that backed their national celebrity were utterly furious. However, it wasn't just Filipinos are furious. Global tennis enthusiasts, players from the past and present, analysts, journalists, those who recognize that competition has limits, and they all considered while denouncing what had purportedly happened. The uproar came so quickly, so pervasive and cohesive that it caused tennis officials to take action with extraordinary speed. Generally speaking, it may take weeks or even months to conduct. Committees examine assertions and supporting data are gathered, solicitors get involved, the appeals procedure takes a long time. However, in this instance, the governing bodies realized that delaying would only result in things become worse. They had to submit a very obvious ethical message: limits and the core essence of sportsmanship that is meant to rule professional tennis. This has nothing to do with being politically or emotionally sensitive. True. This has to do with defining a boundary and stating unequivocally that certain actions won't be accepted, irrespective of pressure from competitors or intensity of feeling. The suspension Parks is currently indefinite, which implies limbo in the workplace. Her ranking will freeze in its present location, indicating she is unable to advance or get further points. Standing. Her future prize money clearly. Competitions are suspended because she is unable to compete. Her sponsorship agreements are most likely being examined by companies questioning whether they want to be connected to this kind of dispute. And perhaps the majority notably, she has to deal with a huge difficult fight if she ever hopes to succeed returning her peers' respect in the locker room. The game of professional tennis is a little world. Players are acquainted, practice and travel together. Reputation is very important. And indeed currently, Alycia Parks' standing has been completely destroyed. In light of this currently, we are awaiting informal declaration by Parks' team. Will she apologize in public? Does she contest the suspension? Will she assert that the remarks were misinterpreted or out of context? So far, the quiet is deafening. That quiet is a manifestation of dialogue. For Alex Eala, the answer is a lot less complicated and vastly more potent. Words or the law are not the best forms of retaliation. Social media postings or actions. The finest success is retaliation. She's also getting ready. Gonna serve that retribution cold, right? In Manila. Let's go away from the darkness of that dispute to the really beautiful sight taking place in the Philippines at the moment. Alex is at home. Following the tragic departure in Melbourne, after the processing of the ugly of the Parks incident, following examination and compassion in equal measure, Alex arrived in Manila to the acclaim of that must have been a warm greeting. Embrace of healing. Additionally, the time couldn't be more flawless in terms of film since something is happening in the Philippines. Historic. The Philippine Women's WTA 125 officially open is here and happening now. Right now. And tennis enthusiasts nationwide are so excited that they're going crazy. For many years, Filipino tennis fans had this moment in their dreams. The nation has held lower-level ITF competitions, occasions that draw players from the area. Fed and Davis Cup matches have been held there. Cup games that produce short bursts of focus. Muggy. Very tropical humidity that results in every motion seems more burdensome. It's noisy, with audiences that convey the energy and Filipino sports fans' loudness renowned across the globe. Additionally, it's blatantly proud to be Filipino. This isn't some sterile business tennis match. This has been filtered for tennis via the culture of the Philippines with all the enthusiasm, feeling, and pride in the country that suggests. For Alex, this competition symbolizes everything. The number is her. The top-ranked Filipino, 2C participant in the draw. She is the face on Ida's billboards, the primary a thoroughfare in Metro Manila. She's the cause of the decline in ticket sales via the roof. She is a representation of potential for a whole generation, and officially, the draw has been made public. And it's very spicy, people. The main draw matches in the round of 32 were revealed this past Saturday, and Alex Eala has a bullseye on her back right now. Her Alina will be the opponent in the first match. Russia's Corrisi, and this is not a gimme match by any measure. Creativity. Let me explain why this is the case. The first round is quite risky. Alina Karasher is a very strong baseline. The player who flourishes as a grinder on patience and consistency. She struck a 142, a career-high ranking back in as of September 2024. She has been compete effectively at this level for a long time ago. She knows what it takes to succeed. Bouts at WTA 125 competitions. She possesses 6 ITF championships to her name, demonstrating that understands how to end competitions and manage stressful circumstances. She participated in a WTA 125 tournament as a finalist, proving that she can connect few high-quality victories against genuine experts. She has debuted at the WTA 500 on a tour events, indicating that she has participated in the largest stages and doesn't feel threatened by environment or event. However, this is the information that really makes this contest hazardous. There is a history between these two. They have previously squared off against one another at AW15 on the ITF circuit in 2020 competition in Spain. Additionally, during that game, even a very young Alex Eala was vanquished by Qureshi. She has an advantage over Alex. Pocket. She is confident in her ability to defeat her. That psychological advantage, the understanding that you've already defeated this opponent. It is really beneficial in tennis. Mental toughness is just as important as physical aptitude at the expert level. But, and this is really important, 2020 was the year. Junior Alex was still growing at the time. Her game, still developing her competitive skills as a specialist. The 2026 Alex Eala is a whole distinct player. She's a junior Grand Slam winner. She's participated in significant draws. She has a top face, 50 players, and forced them to their boundaries. She has created weaponry, especially her left-handed forehand, which can control games while she's locked in. She's more resilient, more risky and experienced. Of course, the strategy will be known because it's the only way she can win. She will play strong, steady ground strokes, attempting to prolong demonstrations, and wait for Alex will make mistakes. She will attempt to undermine Alex's authority by obtaining all back, compelling her to strike one more ball, then another, and so on till annoyance starts to set in. She is aware that Alex is returning from an week in Australia that was emotionally taxing. She is aware of Alex's extreme stress. To entertain the audience at home, she will attempt to quiet the Resolve Memorial crowd by annoying Alex beforehand. Taking the building's energy by creating the contest was awkward and nasty. However, Alex has benefits that need to be shown. Final, if she performs even close to her ability. Her left-handed serve makes things awkward. Angles for players who are right-handed. Additionally, according to data, left-handed athletes possess a modest yet quantifiable advantage in professional tennis only because to opponents' serve and spin motif. Less often. Her forehand has been reaching faster speeds today's season. Really hazardous speed that may swiftly terminate points when she steps into it. And maybe most significantly, she will possess the vitality of thousands of Filipino supporters, fostering a culture unlike anything Qureshi has ever encountered. The timing of this game is prime time slot, as the organizers are aware of precisely what they possess. The whole country will be watching. Rooms for living, public viewing spaces, sports pubs, streaming on social media. Millions of Filipinos will be observing concurrently. although there is a lot of strain may serve as fuel as well. If Alex is able to channel the Parks' resentment and hurt event, if she is able to change the love and encouragement of the Manila audience into favorable competitive spirit, she has the capacity to impress Karashili Court. Alex, this ought to be a straight set triumph, but tennis seldom follows the script. Anticipate drama, tension, and Alex will have to confront times when she must look closely and keep in mind why she's fighting. Although Alex is the indisputable, the Philippine Women's Open is the main event, is displaying something equally crucial: Filipino tennis's depth talent. This country is not a one-player one. No longer. A generation of young people, Filipino athletes that have seen Alex's path and made the decision to adhere to that route, who have committed themselves to a sport that their nation seldom backed 10 years ago, who are now having an opportunity to shine at home soil. We must provide enormous thank you to Stephanie Aludo. Additionally, if you're not familiar with that name yet, but you will soon, this 17-year-old Quezon sensation del Sur is pursuing her studies while compete at the top levels, just left her mark on Philippine tennis. Books about history. Aludo Stephanie has become the first WTA champion. Match in the Philippines. Allow it to sink in. And for a little while, the first Filipino to triumph in a WTA match in the official Philippines. That's the past. That's the kind of accomplishment that is remembered decades from now. In the qualification this past Saturday, she faced Angelique Alcala, a fellow Filipino, in what must have been an emotionally complex match. Competing with a foreigner when only one of you moves forward, it's always challenging, but Aludo demonstrated complete no compassion. The score was a devastating 61-6. Love. In the best way possible, she was brutal. A feasible method. Courtside reports detailed how she struck blazing forehands from the first game and never stopping, gaining 6 loves in the second set, providing what tennis in your first WTA match players call a bagel. Look that exhibits a frigid calmness and complete assurance. Now, Stephanie Aludo proceeds to confront Japan's Sakura Hosogi in the upcoming qualifying round. Hosogi has greater touring experience, level bouts under her belt, but Aludo has drive, self-assurance, and a house throng that has already developed feelings for her bold fashion sense. Should she win this match, she joins Eala in the main draw. Moreover, suddenly, the Philippines has 2 respectable competitors in the same competition. Let's examine the alternative. Filipino fighters who have won their places in the primary attraction due to these women are embracing the extreme versus elite competition, taken on by Elizabeth Abarcus, my Hanama of Japan. And this is very difficult. Draw. Hantoima is a genuine tour level player who served as her primary attraction first appearance in the Australian Open in 2024. She plays aggressive, flat tennis with little room for mistake. Arisa must provide exceptional service and look for methods to throw off Hama's rhythm. It's a typical underdog situation, and everyone enjoys supporting the underdog, particularly when she's playing Filipino at home. Tatiana Zorva versus Kaya Amina of Russia. Amina, a rising star stars in the system of college tennis, attracts the 22-year-old Russian who has 7 ITF championships and has been rated as high as 140. Prozorova is a tough opponent. She has been participating in professional competitions for years and understands how to win games. Ma will need her best friend. However, playing at home has weird, amazing effects. Factors 2. Probability. If she is able to harness the energy of the audience, if she can play fearlessly, and anything may become feasible. Manankaya versus Tinimits Thailand. Sawanka provides us with a Southeast Asian derby. At midday, Thailand's Pride and Sawanka are doing really well, having advanced to a WTA 125 final recent event in Mumbai. She is aware of Asian music circumstances. She is used to the humidity and warmth. This will be a conflict between quickness, dexterity, and mental fortitude. On paper, Days is the underdog, yet she is a warrior who is reluctant to give up. Additionally, in the qualifying mix, Lorraine Gullahan is fighting for a position. Each and every not one of these Filipino athletes symbolize something greater than personal success. They stand for potential for thousands of young Filipino children who are observing and dreaming.